The new Redmi Note lineup has been released globally, and this is the highest tier model of the bunch, the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G, also known in the Indian market as the Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus 5G. The Redmi Notes have been some of Xiaomi's most solid and popular mid-rangers, so the 11 Pro 5G has a lot to live up to. I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's see how it compares in our full review. The Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G is a mid-range phone which has some higher tier features, balanced out by some more budget-oriented ones. It brings a design language that is shared across this year's whole Redmi Note series, with a flat rather than curved backside. While these phones may look like they're made from metal, they have a glass back with a plastic frame. The matte finish feels nice in hand, and is resistant to smudges. Plus, the Redmi Note 11 devices have IP53 rated dust and splash resistance, though you could also find that on last year's models. On the front of the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G is a 6.67-inch AMOLED with a 1080p resolution, Gorilla Glass 5 protection, and a fast 120Hz refresh rate. The screen is quite responsive thanks to a 360Hz touch sampling rate, and movements on screen are smoothed out by the 120Hz refresh rate. Unlike more premium phones though, the screen refresh rate isn't adaptive here to save energy. This display is quite nice for this class. While you don't get HDR10 support, there are deep AMOLED blacks and decently accurate colors. And it's all pretty sharp with a pixel density of around 400 ppi. Brightness is good too. We measured a maximum of 470 nits when using the manual slider, and the screen boosts to around 750 nits in auto mode when in bright sun. For audio, the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G has a headphone jack as well as stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos support. The speakers have a hybrid setup and sound is balanced, with loudness that measured very good on our charts. Sound quality has improved since last year too, with rich mids and highs and some noticeable bass. For storage, the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G comes with either 64 or 128 gigs, and is expandable via microSD. And you can use the fingerprint reader built into the power key to wake up and unlock the phone. It's fast and reliable. On release, the Redmi Note phones run on Xiaomi's MIUI 13 over Android 11. This interface is easy to use and quite familiar if you're used to MIUI. You can check out our dedicated video to find out more. What sets the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G apart from its 4G counterpart is the chipset. Here you get a Qualcomm Snapdragon 695 5G, while the other one has a MediaTek Helio G96. In CPU tests, the Note 11 Pro 5G is able to achieve better scores than either the 4G model or last year's model. GPU-wise though, it's not a significant upgrade. Performance is snappy overall and the thermals are great, but if you're looking to play heavy games, there are more powerful chipsets in the competition. All of the new Redmi Note phones have a large 5000 mAh battery. The 11 Pro 5G was able to score a 150-hour endurance rating in our tests, which is just as excellent as last year. This is better than the 100-hour rating scored by the non-5G model, and it's probably because there's a more efficient chipset here. One clear upgrade over last year is 67-watt fast charging, where before it was 33 watts. We were able to charge the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G from 0 to 74% in half an hour, whereas last year's model and charger could achieve 50%. Now on to cameras. The Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G has a high-res 108-megapixel main camera paired with an 8-megapixel ultra-wide and a 2-megapixel macro cam. The main camera saves 12-megapixel images by default, and these are alright with enough detail for this class and true-to-life colors. The dynamic range is good and not over the top. However, these photos are not ideal, with visible noise and over-sharpening and some corner softness. The Note 11 Pro 5G doesn't have a depth sensor like the 4G model does, but that's no problem. Portraits are excellent, with detailed and sharp subjects and good separation. 8-megapixel ultra-wide photos are okay for this price range, but nothing great. You get enough contrast and wide dynamic range, but they come out soft, with a mediocre level of detail, and the colors are a bit off. The Note 10 Pro had a 5-megapixel telemacro camera with autofocus, but the new model has a downgraded 2-megapixel macro shooter with fixed focus. Its photos are soft with washed out colors, but at least the dynamic range is decent. At night, the main cam takes good low-light photos. There is enough detail, realistic looking exposure, and well-preserved colors. The noise is handled well too. Night mode photos are sharper with more resolved detail, and you get a wider dynamic range with restored clipped highlights and developed shadows. While the exposure is slightly brighter, the Note 11 Pro 5G doesn't turn night into day. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide photos taken at nighttime are not really usable. They're incredibly dark and noisy. Unlike the regular Note 11 Pro, on the 5G model there's no night mode for the ultra-wide cam. You can force HDR on to get a better result, and you will end up with less noise. Selfies come from the 16-megapixel front-facing cam, and they're not the sharpest around, but they're still pretty good. There's enough resolved detail, good contrast and exposure, low noise, and true-to-life colors. One major shortcoming of the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G is that there's no support for 4K video recording, which you did have on last year's Redmi Note 10 Pro. Still, the 1080p clips from the main camera are good. There is enough detail and balanced sharpening, adequate dynamic range, and true-to-life colors. The videos could be sharper, but the softness is probably a result of the always-on electronic stabilization. The 1080p videos from the ultra-wide camera are decent too. They have enough detail, and you get accurate colors and tolerable noise levels. So that's the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G. It has a lot going for it, like that sleek and splash-proof design, a high refresh rate AMOLED, nice stereo speakers, and excellent battery life. These were all features you'd find on last year's model as well, but on top of that, now you get a 5G chipset and fast charging. The problem is that at the same time, the cameras have seen a downgrade, and they're less capable than last year, especially when it comes to video recording. And that makes this year's hike in price a tough pill to swallow. So overall, the Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G is a decent mid-ranger, but you can find better value elsewhere. Thanks for watching guys, stay safe and see you on the next one.